Martha and Mary are at their wits' end. They confront Jesus with their most vulnerable challenges. Jesus, if you're only here, where have you been? We sent this messenger 3 days ago. Where were you? And rather than Jesus taking up space in an anxious place where he is going to just say a word and raise Lazarus from the dead, rather than just saying, don't worry, I'll handle it, rather than mocking and saying, oh, well, let me show them, or rather teasing and saying, oh, don't worry, Mary and Martha. What happens as a result of this open and honest intimacy, this relationship, is that Jesus enters into their grief and suffering with them before giving a healing word. And it's in this particular passage that we have a very important verse where it says that Jesus wept. See, Jesus knew he was going to raise Lazarus from the dead. You already asked and told Martha, your brother will rise again. But what we find is that in prevailing prayer, it's not so much that our heart is exposed, so much that we see and sense God's heart, and that we see that God walks alongside us and weeps with us who weep, laughs with us who laugh. And that Jesus is not content with just making everything right away, but rather to be the God who feels alongside us and enters into those places with us where we see the healing happening more than just a simple solution, a microwavable miracle, so to speak, but a real slow burn in which we get the sense and the character and the heart of a God who enters into those places with us. And yes, at times tarrying, as we abide in him, as we prevail in prayer. Jesus doesn't patronize. Jesus doesn't give a cliche. Jesus doesn't give an easy answer. He instead turns from weeping and gives those declarative words, remove the stone. Lazarus, come forth. Unbind him, untie him, and let him go. When we are asked to love God in seemingly impossible circumstances, the Holy Spirit will always try to mold us to change our perspective to the larger story that is happening in our midst. When we find ourselves in the midst of impossible circumstances and trying to love God when we're anxious or when we're facing odds against us, that's when we really need to lean into that prevailing prayer, which is more than just a scheme or a program, but a real sense of abiding in him, in the arena in which we can do anything through God, and God can do the impossible.